pleasure to be back in the town of Mariah. I'm sorry it's under these circumstances, but it's my pleasure to be back. You have a great supervisor who's been doing a great job. He's a personal friend of mine. He's always been there for me. Let's give him a round of applause. Tom Scozafaza. Supervisor Randy Douglas, pleasure to be with you. To the men and women who work in public service in Mariah, the people who have been working on the water and sewer and the road and the highway, the supervisor made this point, but this has been a long few days for the people who've been trying to keep us all safe, and they have done an outstanding job, and let's give them a round of applause. It's a pleasure to be with Senator Betty Little. We do a lot of good work together. We did get the budget done. And if we could get the budget done on time, we're going to get this bridge up so fast, I can't even tell you, it's going to be easy compared to doing the budget. And Commissioner Martens and Commissioner McDonald, who are part of the state government, it's a pleasure to be with them, and I thank them all very much for their work. This is been a terrible weather pattern all across the state for a few days. You know, I was up last week, I was up by Saranac on personal business, and we were talking about how high the water was and the water level all across the board from the rains. This then obviously with the recent weather pattern, it just aggravated the situation into literally a disaster. I am going to declare a disaster in the county of Essex. While that doesn't sound like good news, it actually is good news. What the declaration of emergency does is it allows the state to deploy resources to assist local governments all throughout the county, meaning that the state resources, state equipment, state funds aren't just used on state roads and state facilities, but can be used on local roads, local facilities all across the county. We'll deploy DEC, as you heard from Commissioner Martens, and DOT. Commissioner McDonald is already here with her team, and they've been working and they will continue to work until we do everything that we need to do. We'll also be taking an assessment of the damage all across the state. There's damage all throughout the North Country. There's damage in the southern tier also, Chemung, Broome County. So we'll be doing an assessment of the damage all across the state. If appropriate, we'll ask for federal disaster emergency assistance if we qualify once we do the total assessment. But what we want you to know, and the word has been used here, it is about teamwork. New Yorkers are at their best at a time of difficulty. That's when we come together and we work as one, and that's what we're going to do here. Yes, we have problems. Yes, we have obstacles, but we're going to overcome them just like we've done before. And my 2 cents to my team is the goal is not just to rebuild. The goal is to rebuild better than we were before. And that's what we're going to do together. That's what we do as New Yorkers. And it's a pleasure to be with you today as part of that effort. Thank you. Well, we'll get the, first we have to repair the damage and repair the damage as quickly as possible so transportation routes are open, so we're not inconveniencing people and we're not hurting commerce. That's going to be the first order of business. Second, we'll then be doing assessments of total damage. Depending on what the total damage is statewide, we may be eligible for federal assistance if we hit a certain threshold. Otherwise, there'll be costs that are absorbed by the state and by the respective local governments. What the declaration of emergency does is it allows the state to deploy resources and funding to assist in the repairs, even if they're not on state roads like we're talking about in this region.
The difficulty already dealing with, the state is cash strapped already. Is another difficulty on top of that?
Yes. Yes. But, in the scope of things, what we've dealt with before, what the state has dealt with before, we'll be just fine.
Do you have a sense yet of, in the case of Essex County, how much the state can afford monetarily to help them with at this point?
Yeah, well, you know what, we'll do whatever we need to do. The goal here is to be of assistance to the county and get the roads up and get the businesses operating and get people being transported safely. And whatever it takes, that's what we're going to do.
How optimistic are you that you can meet the federal threshold with the damage that's occurred across the state?
I do not know. I do not know. We're looking today on the southern tier of the state to see a range of damage then on the southern tier, and then we'll have a better idea. But that's the second order of business. The first order of business is just get the work done. Second order of business is we'll find out if we qualify for federal funds.
Governor, Saranac Lake is also experiencing a lot of damage to high water. They're in Franklin County. Will any extension go over that way for you?
So, if necessary, obviously, we're going to be working in the Saranac area also, and we're going to be touring on the way out. Depending on what the needs are, then we'll make a decision at that time.
Have you heard from Franklin County at all yet?
We're talking to Franklin County.
Can you describe your initial reaction surveying the damage here?
I tell you, it was breathtakingly bad, this scene. I had seen pictures of it before, but it's much worse when you see it in person. And frankly, this is a problem. We avoided a really serious problem. The woman who was in the vehicle who was going over the bridge, and thank God that that turned out as well as it did. Because once you see it, it really takes your breath away, and it could have been a lot worse. We're talking about repairing a bridge. That we can do. Restoring human life we can't do. So in the scope of things, in some ways we were very lucky here.
Governor, Anna, almost got here the other day. Have you made plans to meet with her, and what would you say to her to ensure that New York's roads are safe?
Well, first I would say to her, you are lucky, light a candle. And no, I haven't had a chance to speak with her yet.
Governor, will there be any assistance for the private landowners flooding down?
I don't know if the state can compensate private landowners, but it's something I'll look into.
Governor, what role does New York State play in inspecting outages like this?
We have a routine, DOT commissioners here, John McDonald. I know. And they routinely inspect bridges. This is not a situation where the bridge wasn't inspected or someone missed something. That's not what we're dealing with here. This was an extraordinary circumstance, an extraordinary development.
Timeline on cleanup.
Was fast as we can get it done, as fast as humanly possible. We want to get it done yesterday.
Can you take an off-topic question?
I'll do that after this, if that's okay.
Can I ask the Transportation Commissioner one question?
Please.
You've had reaction or assurances about the pace of reconstruction of the Crown Point Bridge. Obviously, the water is high, the construction site is flooded. Is this going to delay the bridge?
No, it's not. In fact, I had the opportunity to stop by there on my way up this morning, and we talked to the contractors. The work is continuing today. As Tom mentioned, the staging area for the arch is a little bit underwater, but we had concrete deliveries earlier this week before the severe weather hit, so they're moving full speed ahead. The ferry is operating. The traffic was lined up and coming off from Vermont into New York, so we're confident that we're going to meet the October timetable.
Governor, are there emergency funds that are set aside for this kind of thing? Is that what you're going to be dipping into?
They're not, we don't really have an emergency fund budget per se. We don't have a DOT emergency fund. But in a situation like this, we're going to deploy the state resources to assist in the repairs, and then we're going to have to figure out the funding. But as I said, we're here to help. We're here to get the job done, and we'll figure out the funding as step two. Thank you all very much. Thank you.